This episode is sponsored by the War for the Tower podcast. Jeff says, we tell you all the time that you should listen to War for the Tower, so do it already. Check it out. We've got a princess with a hairpin that turns into a sword. We've got a flying drow elf lady with freaky mind powers. We got a friendly maintenance robot, many other functions. Gunslingers, monkey men, and wizards, oh my. It's the War for the Tower, an actual play, and it totally fucking rules. warforthetower.com or search War for the Tower on your podcatcher.
This is an Unspoiled Network podcast.
This is Unspoiled, covering Doctor Who, Season 5, Episode 9, Cold Blood. In this episode, I called it. Ambrose, you fuck. You absolute idiot. You buffoon. You murderer. Welcome to Unspoiled. Welcome to the show, everybody. I am Natasha.
And I am Jamie.
Jamie, remember how before we started recording I was talking about how I have contempt for people so often? This episode did a really good job of dealing with dread, because you know that they're going to have to fess up to what happened eventually, but it takes so long. And you're just waiting for this to come out, and it goes about how you'd expect it to go. The good news is that there's an Ambrose on their side also. So they aren't, the humans aren't the only ones that are guilty of being hot-headed and quick to violence. Nevertheless,
their Ambrose, though, killed Rory.
I mean, yeah.
Not an even trade.
That's fair. That's fair. I'm just saying I appreciate it not just being all the humans are terrible and and everybody else who isn't human is always a victim of our unstoppable violence. Do you know what I mean?
Sure. Yes.
I appreciate that there is another species, because I feel like this is the first species that we've come across that is as violent as we are, but also seems to have the same capacity for multi-level thinking and being a bit more shades of gray. Everybody else who has been we are taking over, we are enslaving you, we are doing whatever. It has been a uniformly terrible race, all who agree that humans should either be enslaved or eradicated, and that is their goal, and that's it. And this is the first time that we're seeing a race that has factions, really, within it, and they don't agree on how to handle everything. And there are some that are bloodthirsty and respond with just pure reflexive violence. And then there are others who are, cute, adorable doctors who get shot in the basement. Cute, adorable doctors, but who were definitely going to dissect her alive. So, a little bit of this, a little bit of that. What can you do?
He was able to see reason, though.
In the end, yes.
Yeah.
But, give them some fucking sedatives or something. Jesus, Put a fucking bit of a tranquilizer, painkiller. You gotta have some shit. Don't try and lie to me and tell me you don't. With all the technology you have. Oh, we haven't discovered painkillers. Shut up. Yes, you have. Liar. Reptilian liar.
If you can put your army to sleep for thousands of years, you can find a painkiller so that you don't dissect people awake.
I don't understand why the need for them to be awake is a thing in the first place.
Well, it's
Like, when we
probably just to
dissect-
scare us.
Yeah, I guess so.
As
we
an
dissect
audience.
animals and they're dead. You know, pickled.
Good
Whatever it
hope.
is.
Pickled. Come on.
Yeah. But anyway, so yeah, I'm just I'm feeling away. Let's start off the episode with the underground city, which looks pretty rad.
Mm-hmm.
I feel like whoever was designing this was having a little bit more fun than they tend to have sometimes. Like, and I don't even mean just on this show, but okay, have you seen Aquaman?
No.
Okay. So I went into Aquaman really like, okay, they get to like design this underwater city that's going to be pretty cool. And instead of like doing anything with the fact that they are underwater and there's all kinds of amazing aquatic life that you could use as an inspiration for how you design a city, they just basically make what is it? Where's Thor from again?
Asgard.
Yeah, it's just like underwater Asgard. It just looks exactly like Asgard, really. And they have like spaceships. It's not even like I was hoping for like some fish inspired weapons and modes of transport, but they're just like spaceships but underwater also.
Didn't Aquaman, like, ride a dolphin or something in the comics?
I think so. I've never read the
Or a
comics, but
shark?
that image is like ringing a bell for me.
Yeah, I never read the comics either.
I
did read Marvel. I read all of the Civil War comics when you guys were covering it. Mm-hmm. And I mean, I read all of them. All the little side ones, all of them. It was a chore. And there's this character, Namor, who is Marvel's answer to Aquaman in a way, but he's way meaner, really fun. One of my favorite Marvel characters, just based on the few comics that he was a part of in Civil War. He's just fucking hilarious. And we saw his underwater world in that because Wolverine went there. And it was like domes. And then they lived inside the domes, basically.
See, I could get down with domes too, because you're dealing with like underwater stuff and, you know, sort of dealing with like, well, maybe they need oxygen or maybe they just want to keep like their biome separate from everything else. It was just the Aquaman design just lacked imagination was really what it came down to for me. It just felt like, really, this is the best you can fucking do? Come on, guys. Like, you know? And I really liked seeing how this city looks in this show because it feels like somebody really thought through, well, what would this be like if we were actually underground, if we had what's available underground? And I appreciate when that kind of thought goes into things because it's what makes things memorable, you know? I mean, there's been a lot of alien cities in this show. And I probably remember like probably a handful of them because a lot of them are kind of similar.
Well, you can tell that they have more of a budget now than they used to because alien stuff used to be a lot of corridors, a lot of metal doors and long hallways and looking like a warehouse because it
I
was.
thought you were going to say werewolf for some reason.
Yes,
Just
that too.
Looking like a werewolf, you know, like they do.
But that's what they had to work with. And so it was a lot of that, a lot of warehouses, a lot of quarries. And now they seem to have more of a budget and a more of a CG budget. So you can get stuff like this.
Yeah, true. So the doctor he's like going down with Nazreen to like thinking that they're going to be able to like negotiate, and these folks are not welcoming at all. They gas the two of them pretty much immediately. And I gotta say too, like the design of these fucking helmets is really freaky. Good job on making those extremely intimidating, guys.
Okay, so now is when I'm going to hit send on this picture for you.
Oh, right. Okay.
This is a picture that one of our listeners, Kat, sent in the Whovian group of what the Silurians looked like in the old series.
Oh my god.
So when I said fish person, do you see? It's like the creature from the Black Lagoon.
Do. I never saw the creature from the Black Lagoon.
This was kind of what it looked like, though.
Oh my god, that's funny. But yeah,
and I think there's a mouth on top of the head and in the mouth area.
Is that a mouth?
Kind of looks like it.
I hate it. Thanks. God, that's funny.
It's either a mouth or it's another body part.
You know what, Jamie? Keep that shit to yourself.
No, I will not.
I hate it. So the doctor, like, he winds up getting put in this decontamination thing, which they use on Amy right before the dissection is about to begin. And it doesn't seem to affect her at all. She has, like, no reaction, right? Like, it seems totally painless and just kind of, you know, like she didn't even notice it was happening.
This is what we need right now, our decontamination chambers.
Amen. But the doctor, when it's done to him, is screaming in pain, writhing around. It's really funny to me, honestly, that they're like talking about like their scientific advancements and stuff, but they don't seem to notice that his reaction is so different. Like, they're just like, well, continue with the decontamination. What is your problem? And I'm like, do you
maybe
not
they
see?
think he's being
faking?
dramatic. He's faking it.
So they think that he's as much of a drama queen as I think he is. Well, you know what? That makes sense. I can't fault them for that.
Because doesn't one of them say that? I mean, oh no, it's the narration. Sorry, that they had met the Time Lord, a Time Lord before.
Oh right, I forgot about.
Or
that.
met the Doctor before.
Yeah. So Amy, like, while she's getting dissected, it gets interrupted, but she lifts the.
No, I was wrong about that. I'm sorry. The narration is like supposed to be from the 1,000 years later.
Oh, okay.
When he's talking about when he met the Doctor and the losses that the Time Lord suffered because of the failed attempt to negotiate. Okay, sorry.
Time Lord.
Back to Amy.
But yeah, she lifts the controller, I guess, that unlocks them. Mm-hmm. And it's like really easy, honestly. I was like, oh shit, that really, he was not keeping track of that at all, was he? And is able to get herself and, what's this guy's name again?
Mo,
that's right. I forgot what a weird choice that is. Isn't that a weird one? Is that just me? To like have...
It's not really common. The name Mo.
Guess not. It's just so evocative of the fucking Three Stooges that I can't get past it, you know?
My friend's mom's name is Maureen and she went by Mo.
I mean, I feel like with a woman that feels different. It feels just, I don't know. But yeah, I just can't not think about the Three Stooges. Did you ever watch the Three Stooges? Like, was that a thing?
It was on reruns when I was a kid, so I know I saw some episodes as a kid. Like, I was a latchkey kid like many people my age, so I'd come home from school, my mom was at work, watch whatever was on, which sometimes was Three Stooges. It was never like something I sought out.
Yeah. It's a weird thing, like, because I saw it a few times, and I was just like, I was a real sensitive kid. And I was just like, this is really mean-spirited, and they just keep hurting each other. And I don't like it.
Like, it's one thing to watch that kind of stuff on cartoons, where, like, Tom and Jerry are basically trying to kill each other, and the Roadrunner and Coyote are trying to kill each other. Mm-hmm. And it's funny, it's cartoon, whatever. It's still violent. But watching, like, humans being bashed in the face with wood and whatever it's like the same thing with Home Alone, where people are like, this is fucking dangerous, this kid's a psycho.
You know what? Don't you dare.
I don't think that I love that movie, but
Home
it's
Alone to me.
the same type of thing. Like, wow, this is like hyper violent in a way that like, should have killed these people.
And it gets amped up into cartoon territory in the second one, where you literally see what's his face's skeleton, Marv's skeleton, at one point when he gets electrocuted.
I've only seen the second one once, and I felt like it wasn't worth ever rewatching. Unlike the
You
first
are
one.
correct.
The first one I watch every year.
I watch the first one like 3 times a year. And the second one I still watch every year. It's not worth it, but I do.
Why?
Because it's just a thing I do.
Okay.
You don't have anything like that you're like, I know this isn't great, but like...
Not that I go out of my way to watch consistently. Like, there are things where I'm like, I'm sure this isn't good, but I haven't watched it in a long time, so let's see. And if it doesn't hold up, then I'm like, well, I don't have all the time in the world. So if I'm going to take the time to put something on, even if it's something I've seen a bunch of times, I want it to be something that I really enjoy.
I need that sweet, sweet soundtrack. You know, and I'll go through the movie and go through the movie and go through the movie. And then I'm like, all right, I've seen this one 3 times. I still want the Christmas feel. I still want the soundtrack. I need that, you know, but I don't want the same movie again. And so I go to the second one because it's like giving me the vibes, but it's not just the exact same script.
Yeah.
Because I can literally recite the movie from memory, from beginning to end, every scene. So it's helpful sometimes to go to the one that I can't. I don't remember almost any lines from the second movie, despite how many times I've seen it, because it's so bad I don't remember any of it. It's just does not implant in my brain.
Have you watched the third one?
No, I never have.
That doesn't have Macaulay?
What if it doesn't have Macaulay? Like, what are we even doing here?
Agreed.
You know?
However, they're making a new one, and it's going to star the kid from Jojo Rabbit, and that kid is incredible. Which makes me...
New one?
They're making a new one. Yeah. And I had that reaction that you just had. A very big sigh of, like, why? Because the first one is perfect. It never needed a sequel. It never needed a third. It's perfect. Leave it alone. But then I saw Jojo Rabbit. And this kid is incredible. Like, he's such a good actor that I'm more excited to see him do something like Home Alone. So I'll give it a try. He will never replace Macaulay in my heart, though.
All right. God, I'm disgusted. I can't believe, like, I was literally just thinking the other day, I hope that they never try and do, like, a remake of this movie, because they just, like, it would just be the one time, you know, I get so angry about, like, they're ruining my childhood. And it's like, shut up, shut the fuck up. This has nothing to do with your childhood. Your childhood's over. If it was ruined, it's your fault. But this is one of the few times where I'm going to have that same irrational, shitty, selfish reaction.
I hope that it's not...
I can't help it.
I hope it's not a remake. I hope it's just like this. It's Home Alone, so it's a kid left home alone.
I just can't imagine, and I'm sure they'll figure it out, but part of what makes that first movie work is the fact that it's the 90s, and there's no way to communicate the way that we do now.
Right. It does not make sense now.
Yeah. So I just wonder how they will, like, logistically get that sorted out.
Maybe they'll have it take place in the 80s.
Oh, I didn't think of that. That might be fun. I mean, as long as they get, what's his face again to do the score.
Who did that? John Williams?
John Williams, yes.
It's one of the best versions of Carol of the Bells ever.
That whole so good. I was watching a documentary on the making of Home Alone.
Was it on Netflix?
Yes.
I watched the one on Dirty Dancing.
And the director was talking about how he just decided to ask John Williams to do the score as like a goof. He just assumed John Williams had way better shit to do, but was like, let's ask him. Let's put it out there, whatever. And John Williams immediately agreed to do it. And the guy was like, wait, what? Really? Are you serious? And he freely admits now, like, this movie wouldn't be what it is without that score. It's just that score took it to a whole other level. And as much as I'm proud of my own directing, like, I have to give credit where it's due, and the music fucking, like, carries half of it. And I was like, you know what? You're not wrong, sir. Anyway, this is not the Home Alone cast, although it should be. So poor Mo sees his son, who's in this fucking horrifying, like, vine tube contraption. I don't like it. He's being kept alive. Apparently he's, like, put in almost stasis. It's not complete stasis, but he's being, his growth is being slowed way down so that this scientist can, like, observe the way that he grows. Mm-hmm. So we know that he's safe, but it's an extremely disturbing image to see this kid in this, like, cocoon thing. And I can't blame Mo for, like, completely freaking out the way that he does. And we cut right from there to Ambrose, who is sitting next to the grave and holding the headphones that her son dropped. And she's mad at Rory because he lied and told her that he was the police. And I guess he did. I kind of remember him just not saying anything. He
didn't say anything. That's the thing. He didn't correct her.
Yeah. I guess.
But he didn't admit either.
Lying by omission.
And he says it was a misunderstanding.
I can be a real fairy when it comes to, like, I didn't technically lie with the fucking loopholes and shit. But, because there's a huge temptation for me to defend him here. Oh, and by the way, guys, I want you all to know that as much as I like Rory, I'm not worried about him being dead.
What do you mean?
Because we see them from the future waving.
Not anymore.
What do you mean not anymore?
At the end, she only sees herself.
Wait, what? I didn't see that.
Yeah. At the end, after they get back up to the surface and the little drill station blows up, and then the Doctor and Amy are going back to the TARDIS, she goes, "Oh, there I am again!" and, like, waves at herself. And it's only...
no, how did I miss that? Oh. Well, Rory better not really be dead. I'm not taking this to heart. I'm not doing it because I like him.
I like him too. I'm very sad about this.
I don't believe you.
You don't believe it?
Your
I'm
words.
sad?
No, I
Love
don't.
Rory.
Because I don't think it's real. I'm not falling for the okie doke, as Rashawn would say. Which I find a very funny turn of phrase. But, yeah, I just... All right. I'm getting ahead of myself. Elia. Listen, I'm real mad at Ambrose. Don't get me wrong. Ambrose is being so... She's playing right into Elia's fucking hands here. And when I say that, what I mean is Elia seems to be excited to martyr herself on behalf of starting this war. Is that just me?
That's exactly what she wants.
Right? She's just doing this on purpose to try and get a rise out of her. And it's just really, like, frustrating to watch Ambrose fall for it so completely. Like, girl, what... But this is me, though. I'm such a fucking contrarian that you try and get me to do anything, and I'm just going to be like, no, I'm not going to do it now. So that's my reaction when this bitch is out here being like, you're the weakest, you have the most to lose, we'll drink your son's blood. She doesn't say that, but basically. My reaction would just be to stand there and, like, laugh at her and be like, yeah, okay, you think I'm going to fucking fall for this. And I have to recognize that not everybody is as fucking childish as I am. So, you know.
She has the desperation of a mom. She just wants her family back. Meanwhile, her dad's fucking dying. And she's risking everyone's lives. Mm-hmm. Including her husband and her son. By falling for this shit.
That got me because after all is said and done, when they're, down in the deeps And she's like, I'm sorry, I just wanted my family back. And I'm like, that is the literal reason why you should have done the opposite, you fucking idiot.
Yeah.
If you just wanted your family, if that was really what it was about, you wouldn't have fucking done this.
Right, you wouldn't have fallen for it no matter what. The doctor said, she's our bargaining chip. This is how we get your son and your husband back.
Mm-hmm.
And instead, she's like, I'm going to come at you with a taser.
And, like, look, could she have predicted that this species was delicate enough to just die from a taser? Maybe not.
Well, you can't assume anything. It's an alien race.
Yeah, just don't. How about you just don't?
Right.
Don't do it. You
Who
know?
could have predicted that those aliens in science were going to die because of water?
I love how often you bring up signs. Oh my god, it makes me want to buy you like
two
a
in a row.
Signs baseball cap or something. Something real weird and specific that you'll be like, I will never wear this. I don't know why you gave this to me. But you'll put it in a place and you'll never really get around to throwing it away.
To be honest, it's one of my favorite movies, so that's part of it.
Jamie, you and I are such opposites.
I know
so
we
many
are.
Things.
I love that movie.
It's
it has
bad. What are you talking about?
Joaquin Phoenix is so good in it. The kids are so good. It's so suspenseful and scary. I love it. I hate that it has Mel Gibson in it. I can never watch it again.
Oh shit! I forgot
Hurts
it
me.
has Mel Gibson in it.
Hurts me. I can't watch Braveheart either, and I love that movie. Fucking Mel.
Yeah, I forgot about that. Well, I didn't forget about Braveheart. I actually did rewatch that recently.
Really?
Yeah, I don't know what came over me, but I forgot about like the horrible scene with his wife. It's really bad.
Yeah. It's a really good movie. I might have to, like, let go of, I already own these movies. I'm not giving him any money by watching movies he made before he revealed himself to be terrible.
Yeah, I would agree with that. I think you get a bit of a pass on that.
Because I also love the Lethal Weapon movies. Like, there's a lot of Mel Gibson movies that I have not allowed myself to watch for, like, 15 years.
One of my favorite memories of when I was with Brendan was when we were watching Lethal Weapon, and I think it was Lethal Weapon 2 or 3.
Well, Lethal Weapon 2 is the best one, so.
They like, there's something going on at like a construction yard or something that's like big and open and outside, but has like several stories. And they swing in with their fucking guns and their trucks, and him and his partner just begin to like set fire to shit. And one of the lines of one of the bad guys is like, "Boss, the cops are here. They're burning everything." And it's just such a nonsensical thing to have the cops just come in and fucking torch the place that me and Brendan, that became like our line that we would use to signal to one another that things were not making sense at all in a movie. So we'd reach a point where somebody did something that was just like, that, why are they doing that? And one of us would just say, "The cops are here. They're burning everything." And I still say that to myself when I'm watching stuff, like to this day. But, oh man. Yeah,
That's funny.
One of those little memories. Anyway, okay, so yeah, Alaya, first of all, refuses to help their dad. It turns out for some reason that this venom is like mutating him.
Yeah.
Instead of killing him, which is what it's supposed to do.
Well, I don't know if they knew what it would do. Because it's one of their defense mechanisms. But the doctor, I think it's a doctor, maybe it's the head guy, says that it's mutating him.
Okay, I thought, because she says it should have killed you, so I thought they had like done this before. But I get what you're saying.
Yeah, I'm not sure that they've come in contact with any humans in a very long time. Yeah. So, we've evolved as well. To an extent. So that's how I took it, is like, this is one of their defense mechanisms, and they expect whatever they hit with their tongues to poison them and kill them. But for whatever reason, like, he's not dying, and he says it's burning in his blood, but it's also just like moving its way through his body and changing him. So now in 1,000 years, he'll wake up and maybe they'll be able to fix him, or maybe he'll turn into a lizard person.
If he turns into a lizard person, That's going to be a big change to deal with, man.
For Nazarene as well, since she decided to stay with him.
Yeah, like, is she going to be like, all right, I guess infect me too?
Maybe.
Yeah.
Did you ever see that? God, guys, I'm so sorry that I keep bringing up stuff that's not this show. There was a miniseries in the 80s called V. They tried to remake it as a show. Okay, that scared the living daylights out of me as a child.
I am so excited you brought this up because that was one of those shows that I got unreasonably invested in, even though it was not that good.
What, the remake?
The remake, yeah.
I couldn't watch more than like 2 episodes.
It's not good. And I just I don't know why. I just got fucking hooked on it. And I was so bummed when they were like, yeah, we're not going to keep making this show. I was like, oh.
They did 2 seasons.
It wasn't enough. Things weren't resolved at all. I needed more of that.
It had Juliet from Lost and Alan Tudyk, so of course I tried it. But
what's the name of the chick from
from Firefly?
Yeah.
Morena. Her.
Yeah, that one.
Yeah.
Super gorgeous one.
Yeah. The one who played the... Fuck, what was her name on Firefly?
I don't remember. I always messed her name up. I did like a solo coverage of that like way early on. And man, it was hard. Inara, that's right.
Yeah, she was in Deadpool as well.
Yeah. That's the main thing that I really like. When I said that girl from and you said Firefly, I was like, oh yeah, I guess that works. She is from Firefly, but I kept thinking of
yeah,
Deadpool.
she is fucking stunning.
Yeah.
So
anyway.
I don't know what it was like on that show because I don't think I watched enough to really see if they were lizard people. But the one that was on in the 80s, I remember my uncle was watching it and I was in the room and I was half paying attention probably. I was probably playing with something. And I looked up and a baby was born, but it was a lizard human baby thing and it was fucking terrifying.
They were indeed lizard people on the show.
Okay.
They were wearing like some sort of disguise to make humans feel more comfortable and pretend that they were like human-like, but they were not actually human-like. And it was all a facade.
Did they tear off their faces and show their lizard face underneath?
Pretty much, yeah.
Okay,
I don't remember exactly
they did that
how
in the original.
It went down, but yeah, something like that.
It was very scary to a 5-year-old, I'll just say.
I understand that, yeah. I mean, yeah. The witches, do you remember the witches? With their faces underneath?
No, I never watched that.
So scary. Okay, guys, we really have to get back on track. So, the doctor finally convinces them that he is not like a regular human being, gets them to stop doing this like decontamination thing. Amy and Mo are wandering around, and I'm really glad that they explain that a lot of them are like asleep, because Amy and Mo are just like fucking... They have free reign of the place, practically. You know, they're just walking around like nobody's challenging or stopping them. There's no guards. There's nobody. And this does become a bone of contention a little bit later because one of them is like, yeah, see how fucking science types don't know how to have fucking decent security. We should be having the military on this. And I was like, listen, she's a bitch, but she has a point. But they discover a... like series of stasis pods, and the beings in them are wearing their like their masks.
Yeah, they're ready to step out of those pods and fight a war.
Which really is like, it's got to be so uncomfortable, right?
Well, they're asleep.
Yeah, but you wake up with having worn a mask the whole time you were asleep. Think about how fucking awful that is.
Maybe it's different for these lizard people.
All fogged up in there, all wet. You know what I'm saying?
Maybe it's like being frozen in carbonite.
Maybe it doesn't look that. They're not in. There's
They're
not even
not.
like a liquid in there.
But maybe it's the same sort of concept of like they're not breathing, they're not dead, but they're just sort of like frozen in place.
Perhaps
They're in cryo chambers. I mean, how do those work? I don't know.
I love it. How do those work? I don't know. Do you know? I don't know. Yeah, I mean, all right. I'm willing to accept that. It's just I was at first when they find them, I thought that they were just like the suits of armor with nobody in them.
Yeah, I thought that too at first.
And they were like, oh shit, and then it would turn out to be. But then I saw that there's like the green peeking out, and I was like, nope, there's definitely somebody in there. And Amy can't help but like go in and poke around. I love how like anxious Mo is, and how she's just, she's done some crazy shit many times. This is, I don't want to say it's old hat for her, but she is a lot more daring than the average person. Mm-hmm. And Mo is like the rest of us, where you come across some shit like this and you're like, I'm leaving. Goodbye.
Yeah, I'm not stepping in there and like poking around.
But she figures out that the transport discs that they're standing on is their way out of here. And they take the weapons out of these beings' hands. I was just so nervous. I was like sure that they were going to wake up as soon as they like started to move their weapons. Nope, they don't. They are still as stone. And I love, he says, which way? And she says, door at the end. And he says, are you sure? And she just goes, nope. I mean, that's how you have to roll. You got to pick a direction and just go with it. Mm-hmm. And they walk out onto this sort of platform, and these lights automatically turn on, and we get to see the extent of the army below. And it's a real worm tongue Sauron moment.
Kill the half-men!
I just like, you could really see if one of them just had like a single tear fall out of their eye. But yeah, it goes off onto the horizon, like the number of units.
Still not as many as Saruman and Wormtongue had.
That's fair. It's not. But
it's a lot.
Mo's like, we do not stand a chance, and I'm like, oh, buddy, I don't know how to tell you this, but you're correct. So Amy at this point is like, yeah, okay, I kind of thought maybe we could handle this and just like get out of here. But we really do need the doctor real bad. So let's focus on figuring that out. It is made easy for them by the fact that the doctor is down here already. We have this whole, can we just like skip the conversation between Ambrose and her dad? Mm-hmm. I'm just mad at her. I don't really want to talk about her. We know what she did.
Yep. She doesn't make things better. She just kind of continues to make things worse as she goes along. Because even when they go down there, after they get this message from, her name is Restak.
Right, the warrior one that's the sister to Alaya.
Yeah, like after they get that message and she says, bring me my sister, or bring me my warrior, whatever she says, bring me Alaya. So they know they're going to be going down there and they're going to have to face the fact that Alaya is dead. Mm-hmm. She then convinces her dad to set a timer on the drill so that it'll turn back on and drill into their enclosure, knowing that she's already fucked.
Knowing that they are also heading down there. What makes you think that you're going to be down and up in 15 minutes, you stupid bitch? It's
like this weird arrogance of like, I'm a human, so we are better than them, and we are going to get my son and my husband and fuck everyone else. And I bet she voted for Brexit.
And it's not even just fuck everyone else. It's fuck yourself. So yeah, she definitely voted for Brexit, because those are people that just don't understand that like this is going to affect you too. You're just trying to give everyone else the finger, and meanwhile your gun is held to your own head. Congratulations.
Yeah.
But yeah, it's just like you don't know how long it's going to take to get down there. You have no frame of reference of what you're dealing with at all. You have just decided, basically, to give yourself a time limit so that if you don't find your son in time, you will all die together, or you will have to leave in order to survive and leave him alone down there by himself. Yeah. Which is a really horrific thing to do. You're sentencing your son to death in the event that you can't find him within 15 minutes. I mean, that's an enormous risk to take. And I mean, you could put her kid in a fucking hospital in our world and be like, find your kid in 15 minutes. And I don't know that she could do it. So going down into a fucking alien species community and thinking that you can do that in 15 minutes. I don't know why you think that's possible. I don't know where you got that idea, but it doesn't seem like you really thought this through, does it?
And it's just so selfish. Like, everything she does is just so selfish. I did this to get, for my family. I need to get my family back. But, like, meanwhile, Rory's fiance is down there. The doctor is down there. Nazreen is down there. And all she's concerned about is these two people. I need to get them back.
Yeah.
My needs are more important than everybody else's. She's terrible.
This whole thing started with me saying, can we just not talk about her? And then I couldn't help it.
Well, now we've talked about all of her stuff, really, because she ends up getting her fucking family back.
So we go to, let's see. I'm trying to find the spot where the doctor is talking to the other doctor. I don't know what to call a scientist, I guess.
His name is Malakin.
Malakin, right. And they're being... Where is it that they're being led at this point? Because Malakin is introducing them to... these names.
Restak.
Thank you.
It's like they're going to the... Not exactly the war room, but, like, this is the chamber where they... There's a big table there.
The court, I think she says.
Yeah.
Our court and our place of execution. And this is when Amy walks in and she's got this crazy looking gun. These guns are so funny. They look like ear trumpets a little bit. Hey.
They're kind of neat because they like rest on your arm, like on the forearm. Mm-hmm. They've got like a little curve on them so they can just rest on the forearm and be held with one hand.
Restak just like fucking disarms her in a second. It takes no effort at all. It's almost embarrassing. Like, Amy, look, I know you're not a fighter and everything, but like, come on, Jesus. And Restak tells Malaprop.
Malakin.
That's the one.
Malika.
Malika?
It's Malohkeh. Malika.
Okay. That there is that this is now a military tribunal, and basically she wants everything under martial law. It was all intended to be a big rescue, and it doesn't go according to plan, and poor Amy and Mo wind up getting chained up to these giant pillars, and Restak basically orders a execution of Amy pretty shortly because she can, you know. I gotta say again how much I love this makeup, and also how much I love these costumes. Mm-hmm. The costumes that they're wearing are just top notch. I love them so much. I'm so mad that her father worked with her on this. Because he even says, like, what was I supposed to do? What do you mean, what were you supposed to do? You both are terrible. I hate you both. But, yeah, this is when Restak, like, uses their computer monitor, somehow, like, taps into it and begins talking to them. It's really funny because she's, like, tapped into a monitor that's, like, in a box looking like it's trash. Like, it's not even plugged in. I don't know how that happens, but honestly, their technology is advanced enough to be able to do that I do feel that we've made a huge mistake here. We should have worked with them because that's pretty dope. And she's asking whether Rory is like, has been appointed to like speak on behalf of the human race, to which Rory says, a bit, kind of, not really. And he says he's so excited to see Amy. I thought you were gone. What, just because I got sucked into the ground? You're so clingy. I really liked that line. So yeah, they get to see that everybody down there is okay. And the doctor says, just stay calm, show us Alaya. And they're like, ooh, about that. And Restak says, if you don't, I'm going to kill one of your friends. And they don't comply right away. And the doctor has, this look on his face where you can tell that he is suspecting that maybe things aren't what they're supposed to be up there, but he doesn't really want to believe it yet. And Restak responds with, all right, well, we're going to fucking execute Amy then. Cool. Let's just get on with it then. And she is about to do this when, I guess, the king walks in?
He's their leader.
Can we just call him King? Reptile King?
Sure. He has a name, too.
What's his name?
Eldane. Eldane. You know. Eldane.
Are you stoned right now?
No! Just saying it out loud is like, this is a really stupid name. It's like something you'd see on a soap opera.
Oh my god. That
or
was
like
just...
some redneck on like Justified would be named Eldane.
It would be Eldon, but they'd say it Eldane. Oh god. So the doctor is excited because this dude clearly wants to talk. And he assigns Nesreen and Amy to be the delegation from Earth's surface. And
I mean, what other choices did he have?
Mm-hmm.
Mo? Mo. Who, like, was like, oh, you got her gun. Here, have my gun, too.
I really like Nesreen's reaction to him assigning them to do this. She's just kind of like, are she seriously? And he's like, come on. And she just sort of gives him a look like, you scamp. And then goes ahead with it. And I was like, all right, well, that was actually pretty easy. And the doctor is just so excited about setting this whole thing up.
I like that the doctor also, when he's asked, do you speak for the human race? He was like, I don't. Mm-hmm. Because I feel like in previous seasons, the doctor would have said, I do.
Yep, 100%. I noticed that as well.
Sorry, David Tennant. I love you.
It's not his fault. It's
not
the
his
writers.
fault.
He's not the one. But, yeah, I agree with you. I definitely noticed that. I was waiting for the answer to be yes, and when he didn't say it, I was like, oh, all right, cool, thank you. So, I'm just going to jump ahead here. The scientist winds up letting little Elliot out and really emphasizes that he just wanted to study how he grows and never wanted to hurt him, which for some reason the doctor believes and tells him, I rather love you, even though this guy was definitely going to cut Amy open and definitely had already cut Mo open and clearly was eventually going to also cut this little boy open. So, like, look, doctor, I get why you want to, like, believe that this guy is great and compassionate and responsible and everything, but, like, evidence shows a pattern here, and maybe take that into consideration.
In the doctor's defense, I don't know if he knows any of that.
I know he doesn't, but he is just... He hasn't had time to gather all the information, and he's making a judgment call here. And maybe he shouldn't just, like, think he has all the answers and be like, oh, I love you, lizard doctor. Maybe hold off on that judgment and talk to your friends about how they were almost dissected. One of them was.
I mean...
I'm just saying.
Can we call it a dissection if we're not taking things out and leaving them out? Just...
He calls it a dissection.
I know, but I feel like that's the wrong term. He was just observing what's in there.
Are you defending this?
No.
Ma'am?
No.
What's going on over there?
I'm defending the doctor. Which I'm known to do. He doesn't have all the information, and calling it a dissection seems like it's the wrong term. That's all.
I mean, but if he said to the scientist, you were about to dissect my friends, the scientist would be like, yeah. Right?
Yeah, he would admit it. That is what he was doing. And then the doctor would be like, well, don't love you as much. That's not the best thing. That's not the best behavior.
Because, like, really, in the end, Resnick winds up killing Malika. And I think we're really supposed to be like, oh, no, she killed the good one. But I just didn't really feel that way. I was like, well, no, I mean, obviously Resnick sucks. But, you know, I have a particular, like, reaction to medical experimentation specifically. And I always have. It's something that is, for me, like, the stuff of more than nightmares. And I think it stems from, like, I did a project when I was in... I was too young to be doing this project. I might have been in, like, 7th grade. But I did a project on something that involved researching Goebbels, you know, the Nazi.
Yeah.
And I found out about a lot of, like, I found out too many details about experiments that were done in concentration camps.
Yes.
And it fucking just embedded itself in my brain as, like, the ultimate evil. Like, as something that's so, you are treating other living things as if they are not actually alive. And as if they cannot experience pain in this way.
I don't think that this guy is a good guy for opening up a human while they're awake.
I'm not saying you think he's a good guy. I'm just saying, like, maybe for other people, they could be like, oh, no, she killed the good one. Because for them, it doesn't hold the kind of horror it does for me, for whatever reason. Because we all have our thing that's, like, particularly triggering. You know what I mean?
I think that line is in there because we've seen this doctor do some fairly decent things. He got the leader to come in when he thought that the military, that Restak was pushing the boundaries of her authority. Mm-hmm. And then he also, like, didn't kill the kid. He wants to study the kid. He stopped his decontamination of the doctor when the doctor was like, I'm not human. If you take all of these human germs, bacteria out of me, it'll kill me. Like, he's done some good things. Not great. None of them are great, but, you know, he's not the worst one down there. But then with the doctor saying, I'd rather love you, the audience is then like, oh, okay. So it's okay for me to feel okay about him. And then when he dies, it's like, oh, but the doctor loves him. We love him too. It's just manipulation of the audience.
And it's fine. I'm just, you know, letting y'all know that I'm not going to forget that creepy leer that he gave Amy as he was coming at her with that fucking weird knife. Dislike. But he does let Elliot out, reunites Elliot with his dad. Then we have the, like, scene with Amy and Nazreen discussing what kind of deals that they could make. Mm-hmm. I love that the two of them are talking to one another, and this guy is getting really irritated at the fact that they aren't letting him get a word in edgewise.
I also think it's really interesting that Nazreen's initial or immediate response is, but they're going to come out and use up all of our resources. Mm-hmm. Like, what the fuck you're drilling into the earth!
Yeah.
Like, you don't have a leg to stand on whether or not resources are going to be sucked dry when you're drilling into the earth.
Yeah, I mean, they have this, like, fucking insane civilization down here that y'all never noticed.
Right.
So, obviously, they have some methods of, like, clean power and, you know, being able to do things without noticeably affecting the state of the planet. So, yeah, it's just, it's just a bit of like lazy reasoning for the sake of like talking about the pros and cons of the situation in a way that makes sense in shorthand. But when you really stop and think about it, it doesn't make any sense.
Yeah. I also was, I don't know, like Amy going and saying, well, there are places on the planet that are not populated, like the outback and this desert. And I'm thinking, you're going to send all these creatures, this race of alien to live in a place with no water and no way of building. There's no trees. There's no very little plant life.
Now, see, this is my question, because they seem to be doing fine in terms of plant life and whatnot where they are. But is that because they have figured out, are they going to be trying to come to the surface? Or are they going to continue living underground the way they have been, just under the ground in these other areas?
I took it as they want to come to the surface, and she's offering the outback and the Gobi Desert and shit. And for me, my first thought was, like, when she starts looking at that globe, it's like the Amazon. Like, let them go live in the Amazon. There's all kinds of resources there. They'd probably be really comfortable. They can grow things and live undisturbed until, you know, we decide we're going to destroy the Amazon.
But the thing is, like, you know, the Amazon, there's tons of indigenous people still living in the Amazon.
That's true.
And they're talking about, they're just like places that are not habitable to us. And I'm like, I mean, I was assuming that they were still going to live underground. So if they're going to live on the surface, that adds a whole different dimension to this conversation and makes it a lot more irritating to me.
Well, if it was underground, what would it matter where they live? They wouldn't have to pick unpopulated places. They're living underground. Those are not populated.
That's part of what my confusion was. It was just like, why are they like, because they seem to be okay doing what they're doing. They just didn't want anybody to disturb them. So how about we just don't disturb them then?
Well, that would be the easiest negotiation is, well, you guys continue to live down here and we'll live on the surface. But the way that they look at it is, this is our planet. We have been hibernating. And while we've been hibernating, you have evolved and taken over the planet and you're destroying our planet. They both feel like they have a claim to the planet.
Yeah, I guess so. I just like the idea that, oh yeah, you were here first, but we're going to give you all the places that are no good to us. Is just such a fucking colonialist mindset. I mean, that's exactly what we did to Native Americans, was just like drove them out of fertile areas into places that couldn't be farmed and had, like, you know, very little to live on. And we're just like, well, you know, you'll figure it out.
That's why I was so disappointed when she started naming the places she was naming. So I'm like, there's nothing fucking there. There's a reason that we don't live there. And just because they're lizards doesn't mean that they can live there too.
Yeah. Yeah, so the doctor's really, like, excited about this whole thing, but I'm like, this isn't going super well, guy, actually. And then we finally have, like, the confrontation with everybody bringing down Alaya's body, and the doctor's just, like, fucking horrified and, like, tell me you didn't do this. And apologizing on behalf of them. It's a real embarrassing moment. In its way, you know, where he, like, vouched for everybody and convinced them that they could maybe make this work, to find out that these fucking dickheads were doing their own dickhead thing. Indirect what's the word I want?
Contrast?
Conflict with what he said to do?
Yeah.
It's not the word I want, but it's close enough.
Contrast? Is contrast not the word?
Defiance?
Defiance would work. I thought, before we knew that what she had her dad do was turn the drill on, I thought that the deal that or what she was asking of him was that he would say that he killed Alaya, since he was dying anyway.
Oh. Damn. That's cold-blooded.
Well, it's called Cold Blood, and she's a stupid idiot. So
She's a stupid idiot.
I thought that was where it was going, and then when it was revealed that she was just once again making the absolute wrong choice.
Yeah. You know, part of what have you watched Dark?
No.
Okay. There's a character on that looks very much like this actress and who is a really bad person. And that's another, like, I think subconscious reason why I disliked her so much right away. It's just like, oh, she looks like fucking Hannah. But yeah, I just like this whole scene was so, it makes me think of like, if you're a parent and you vouch for your kid and then find out that they definitely didn't do the thing that they said they would do and definitely did the thing that they said they wouldn't. And just like that moment of just like, come on, I believed in you, man. Like, why? It's not just like a disappointment in that you did all this, but it's also just a moment of embarrassment.
Yeah.
And yeah, her whole thing, like, what I wanted my family back. Like, this is the opposite of how this would have worked, though, and you know that. We've talked about this. And I love the doctor going, I mean, she just fucking digs in, too. This is our planet. Leave us alone. Bitch, now's the time to shut the fuck up. Okay? Go sit down. You done fucked up. You know you done fucked up. Shh.
She's incapable.
Okay?
Just like her first instinct when they were like getting things together was to pile her little Meals on Wheels van up with guns. And the doctor was like, no.
Yeah. I mean, was there a gun? Pretty sure it was just like cricket bats.
I thought there was a gun in there. Maybe not, since it doesn't show its face in this.
What's that now?
Wasn't the right phrase. As it started going out, I was like, that's not what I meant to say. It doesn't turn up.
Yeah.
But still, weapons.
Weapons, yes. And, like, granted, he said we need to defend ourselves, but, like, you know, I just hate that. It's again with me in this feeling that I have every day of where is your shame? You ruined this entire negotiation. Now you need to be ashamed of yourself and recognize that you should shut up and stop talking and step back. And the fact that you don't see that your actions have completely derailed everything and that you are solely responsible for how poorly this is now going, they should remove her from the room. She should be sent up to the surface and left there alone while they deal with everything, and should not be allowed to participate in this conversation at all.
Right.
And that should be how this works. But unfortunately, that's not an option. And the doctor says, you tell people you had a choice, but you were so much less than the best of humanity, which is like a really roundabout way of insulting somebody, but it's pretty cutting.
Mm-hmm.
You know, wow, this really, this is what you are, huh? Cool. Well, that's disappointing.
Instead of just being like, and thanks for being the worst.
Yep.
He does it very poetically.
So in comes Resnack. She's got her fucking army, bends down, takes the cover off of her sister's face, and has a very emotional reaction to seeing her sister there. I want to say that I really enjoy the scar on Resnack's face to indicate that she's, like, you know, seen some shit. Just like it.
She's got different colored scales, too.
Yeah, because she's got, like, some brown in there.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I like
cool
that
looking.
there's differences in all of their makeup, so it doesn't just look like they used one general mold and then, like, sort of adapted it to
definitely.
different actors' faces.
Man, this, like, I'm just looking at it as you're saying that, and they really just look amazing. It's crazy.
Yeah.
So this is when Ambrose says, "It's too late now, Doctor. Our drill is set to start burrowing again in 15 minutes." And you could just see the Doctor just wants to, like, wrap his fucking hands around her throat. Like, and her dad says, "What choice did I have? They had Elliot." And I'm like, that doesn't even make sense. Guy, they have Elliot in the place that you're drilling to. Like, what are you talking about? You don't have a plan. You're trying to be like, oh, well, we're holding this place hostage, but you don't, like, the leverage that you have is what that caused them to attack you in the first place. And you have no idea how many of them there are. So it's just not thought out.
Nope.
We'll walk away. We'll leave you alone. And this is when Resnack says, "Execute her," and it all goes to hell. And there's this whole chase scene. They get back into the lab area. Fucking Ambrose just keeps looking like sulky throughout it all. And the king meets up with them and tells them that he is going to release this gas that they have to go back into hibernation to avoid. It's like it's meant to be like a signal, I guess. How does this work?
It's called it's like an emergency failsafe. It's toxic fumigation, and so it'll keep them in suspended animation in their little chambers. He has realized that humans are not ready for the Solarians to return to the surface. So he's basically like setting it. They're all set on like a timer or something, and the Doctor suggests maybe 1,000 years they'll be ready.
Right, and he gives Elliot an assignment.
Right, to spread the word about these Silurians, make it religion, make it mythical, whatever, the idea of the possibility of their return, so that when they do actually show up, people won't immediately try to kill them.
What do you think about this method?
Sure. I mean, people are still waiting for Jesus to come back, aren't they?
People are already talking about lizard people running the world, so I don't feel like you're going to get taken too seriously if you like try and...
I mean, look, I have no faith in people's abilities to believe the stupidest fucking shit. There are people that believe that the Earth is flat.
That is some shit, man.
I mean, truly believe. No, I don't need to.
My main question was like, what do you think the benefit is of lying to us about it? That was my main thing. Like, you think this is a conspiracy for some reason. Why do you think? And the whole thing was like, well, they're trying to keep us enslaved. And I'm like, dude, they're doing that already.
Yeah,
it's called capitalism and the way the world works. They don't need the Earth to be flat for that. And
why? I never looked into it because I can't understand how anybody can possibly believe that. We have pictures of our planet currently from the space station. Live pictures.
It's all faked. It's all a big conspiracy.
That's a very expensive conspiracy. Yep. Especially if they think that, like, they also think that aliens are gonna come. Do they think the moon is flat? They don't think the moon is flat.
I don't know if they think the moon is even real. I think they think the moon isn't real.
They can all die. It's just so stupid.
You heard it here first, folks.
I just have no
flat earthers dead.
Fucking tolerance for that kind of stupidity. It takes more energy to make up all of your reasons than to just explain, like, the Earth is round, like every other planet. The one thing that's probably not round is the sun. And that's round too.
It's roundish.
Mm-hmm.
It's mostly round.
It is mostly round.
So then we have the scene where Tony decides to stay behind because they have like this decontamination thing that has not had time to get started, but they are on a countdown now because dumbass Ambrose has set this whole thing up. So now your father has to stay down there because you are a goddamn tool bag. You jag.
Yep.
You killed your dad. Congratulations. Like, he's not dead, but like essentially, basically, yes. So yeah, they have to run out of there, and as they're leaving, the Resnack, who is trying to keep her people from going back into their cryo chambers, she's telling them, like, that's an order, don't you go back there. They're ignoring her, doing what they are meant to do, but she refuses to go back in there and follows them. The doctor has this like little moment with the leader of basically commiserating over how much it sucks that we are not yet at a place where we can coexist. It's kind of like bittersweet, that moment of just both of them being like, man, people are fucking irritating, aren't they? You know? And let's see, where do we go? Oh, right. We see all the gas, which looks crazy. They are trying to get out of the city, and the city, it just looks so cool. I know I said it already, you guys, but it just does. It's so like, this looks like a really dope level in like a video game or something. And they are just getting into the TARDIS, and they fucking pause outside of it for way too long because there is a crack here in the wall. I just wanted to scream at them that the crack, yeah, it's there. Can we just get a move on, please? There are cracks everywhere. Now is not the time to chill and stare at the thing and theorize on it. But they do, because it's distracting. And I just like, he like is talking about like the crack and walking up to it. Like, they completely lose their sense of urgency here. Oh, it makes me so angry. And he's talking about some cataclysm big enough to put cracks in the universe. Meanwhile, Amy is like, dude, we need to go. 4 minutes, 50 seconds. But he's over here still like waxing philosophical about how everybody seems to know already what it is that's happening except for him, which is like the one thing that he can't stand, I guess.
Yeah.
Dude.
So he sticks his arm in it.
Because, of course he does.
I don't know why him sticking his arm right in there to pull something out of it doesn't pull him into it.
Because he's a Time Lord?
I don't know.
Like, it feels like that's what it is. Like, that human beings react differently. But it's just, really, in the end, what I'm saying is the Doctor is responsible for Rory's death.
I blame Ambrose.
I mean, I blame Ambrose too. I blame them
But
both.
the Doctor doesn't help the situation by having them linger. Especially with Amy and Rory saying, let's go. Mm-hmm. This is just a waste of time. You'll figure it out later.
It makes me so irritated. Fucking Resnack dragging herself out like some sort of specter.
She's like half drugged from this toxin in the air.
And Rory shoves the Doctor out of the way. Can I just say, Rory's acting when he gets shot is so heart-wrenching, and I hated it so much. He like just has this like terrified look, and he says, I don't understand. We were on the hill. I can't die here. And I'm like, yeah, I mean, I think that too. Maybe you're going to come back. But apparently I missed a whole thing somehow. I don't know how I missed it.
I don't either.
But yeah, he is just, it's like a moment later and he's gone. And Amy is saying, Doctor, help him. And I'm like, girl, I don't know how to tell you this, but
he's not that kind of doctor.
This dude doesn't know how to do nothing like that.
Yeah.
And we see the like light from this crack coming at Rory.
Yeah.
And I don't know why it starts stretching out here. If it's like the doctor reaching in there, like messed it up somehow.
It's like it's taking him into. It's
like
absorbing
it can sense
him.
that he's gone.
Yeah. And so, like, it's, you know how when they were on that planet with the Weeping Angels and those people disappeared, and then everybody who knew them forgot about them? We didn't see how they were taken into the crack.
That's true. Yeah. The crack.
So here we're seeing, like, Rory is dead, but while he's still there, Amy remembers him. But if the energy takes him, she'll forget him. Mm-hmm. And that's what the doctor is trying to get her to keep him in her mind so she doesn't forget him. Because if she forgets him, he's never existed. No one will remember him. So she has to try to remember him, but she doesn't.
Yeah. She starts fighting with him as he's like trying to steer the TARDIS away. And it's a pretty dramatic moment of her just like, you know, it's going to be hard, but you can do it, Amy. Tell me about Rory, as she like tries to shove him off of the controls. Listen to me, do exactly as I say. Keep concentrating. You can do this. And you see her sort of like already beginning to lose like her concentration. She's just not really like even seeming to understand what it is that he's saying to her. And we see like the memories that she's thinking of beginning to basically like white out. And the doctor keeps saying to her not to let things distract her. And it's clearly like too late. You must keep a hold of him. And yeah, it doesn't work. I can't accept it. I can't accept it. He's not dead. I refuse to accept it.
No. Okay.
I refuse to accept this.
We've
and
never
the doctor,
had...
like, at one point they fall down and he sees the engagement ring on the floor. And, oh man, that's a bad moment.
So, other than, like, Rose being stuck on in the other universe, like, we've never really had anybody die. Like, companions. Right?
No, I guess we haven't. And that's probably playing into me being like, no, this didn't happen.
Yeah. I was trying to think, but I don't think so. Everybody that's close to anybody that's a companion has always managed to survive in one way or the other.
I want you all to remember that I said that Rory deserved better, and I stand by it. Listen. Just because Amy's super hot isn't... that doesn't mean anything.
No, Rory deserved better.
We're trying to have a moment of silence as my cat yowls outside. Do you hear that?
No.
Hold on.
Oh, yes. Yes.
She does this when Owen goes into his office to play his video games because he doesn't let her in there because she pees on shit. So she sits outside the door and yowls, and occasionally he'll bring her in and just hold her and play with her like in his lap. But as soon as she tries to get out of his lap, she gets kicked out again. So she sits there and yowls until he breaks and finally like lets her in for a little while.
You're getting a little robot-y.
Oh no. Oh man. Okay. She says, I forgot about, okay, yeah, I'm seeing that's what it is. I thought I saw someone else there for a second. That's, I think, what threw me off about her seeing herself on the hill. Was that I thought maybe there was somebody else there. And apparently this, like, people being erased from existence doesn't happen to the doctor.
Well, he's a time traveler, and Amy thought too, when the doctor is telling her to keep Rory in her mind, she says, but I remember those clerics after they got taken by the time crack because you told me because I'm a time traveler, and he said, but this is your history that's now changing.
So this doesn't count as his history then?
Well, it's, I think, completely different for him in general because he sees how time can fluctuate and change.
So yeah, there's this moment where she says like, well, I really needed a vacation. You said something about Rio, and it's like this awful moment because the doctor has to just kind of like act as if this whole thing didn't just fucking happen. Because she just doesn't remember it.
Yep.
And he had found something, and where did he find this thing that's wrapped in the, is this something that Rory gave him?
No, it's what he pulled out of the crack.
Oh, that's what he pulled out of the crack. I'm sorry, guys. I can't handle what he pulled out of the crack as being part of this narrative. Fuck.
What do you mean?
Because it's a very undignified thing to say.
Oh, just the pulled out of the crack.
Just the wording. This is the thing that he pulled out of the crack.
You're talking about the piece of the TARDIS. Like, I can't handle that being part of this narrative. Like, well, explain.
No.
What did we decide we were going to call it?
The Rift?
Rift? Sure. Okay, so he pulled it out of the Rift.
But yeah, so it's a piece of the TARDIS, and you see him look very spooked as he holds it up against his, and it's just like, oh shit, something really went down. And that is the end of the episode.
Yep. Goodbye, Rory Williams.
I refuse to accept it. I'm gonna say it.
Okay. I mean, you've already explained to me that there's, like, no changing your mind about anything. Once you've set your mind to it, that's just what it is.
Grr. Rory.
I know.
He was like the voice of reason.
I know. I love
Rory.
Rory.
The ring.
Yeah, there was some question about
it's
that.
Not on her finger.
They
probably did that on purpose.
Yeah, I'm sure. But the theory of why the ring still exists, even though Rory has been erased from her memory, is that it was inside the TARDIS. So it's sort of, the TARDIS exists outside of normal time and space. It's its own thing, kind of. That's the theory I read. I hadn't really thought about the fact that the ring still existed.
The ring stopped existing?
No, the ring does still exist, but the theory...
The ring does still exist.
Yeah, but like, if Rory is erased from all history, he never existed, so why would the ring still exist? He wouldn't have bought it, he didn't exist. It's not just that Rory died, it's that he was erased from all of history.
Yeah.
So the theory of why the ring is still in existence at all, why it's still in the TARDIS, is because it was in the TARDIS. If Amy had it on her hand, it probably would have disappeared. Because Rory...
No, I'm pretty sure this means he's alive. So I'm going to cling to that. Thank you. Appreciate you giving me that life raft. And we will continue in Denial Land. Thank you for coming, everybody.
All right.
This has been Rory is Still Alive cast. And I am your host, the Queen of Denial.
Yep.
I hate it. I don't like it.
I know. No one liked it. It's very sad.
I'm not talking about this. No. Okay. But is there anything else you want to bring up before we wrap this episode up? This perfectly normal, regular episode where nothing particularly extraordinary happened?
No, there's no trivia. We don't have any new reviews. I don't have anything to plug. I am currently not quarantined because I'm not sick. I am sheltering in place, doing everything I can to not leave my house. So I have no news.
No news. I usually had to walk to my mailbox to get the daily nuggets of information that we would put on this show.
No, but apparently everybody else has nothing to say either because we have no reviews.
Well, guys.
Now is your time. Everybody's got plenty of time on their hands now.
Y'all are in your houses, unless you work retail, in which case you're apparently indispensable. Capitalism is a horror show.
Yep.
But yeah, leave us reviews, guys. Go ahead.
Yeah.
And
brighten our days. These are dark times. We need the joy.
There's no denying. Get it? Remember?
Yes.
Scrum shower. You remember when he said it? He said that to everybody. Toodaloo, motherfuckers.
That was an Unspoiled Network podcast.